Well, I think it was spearheaded by two people, Dr. Cecil Brown, who was a local veterinarian, and Dr. Jack Atwater, who was a dentist. Two of them started talking and decided that this community needed something like a YMCA for the youth of this community. They in turn recruited a small group of people that met together and started forming some kind of organization for the YMCA. We used local facilities like churches, schools, to start having programs in the community to get the Y known.
My older brothers played in the basketball programs, and at the time the offices were run out of First United Methodist Church, the old two-story building that's across the street, or actually in the parking lot of First United Methodist. That's where that's where you went to sign up your kids to play basketball, because my older brother played at the time, and their games were played at South Asheboro and North Asheboro Middle School.
Several years later, when we decided we had a viable program and the community was going to support it, some land was offered to us by the family of Lloyd Brown, who was a longtime sheriff here in Randolph County, the land that this building sits on now. And a building committee was formed under Mr. Dick Moore, who was a principal in Moore Gardner Engineering.
Again, looking through this, bringing back memories of the fundraising, as you look and see that it was a county-wide effort. You know,
This was a community event. It was Randolph County and Asheboro.
It wasn't Asheboro YMCA, it was Asheboro Randolph YMCA.
Exactly.
The YMCA needed to put a down payment. And Jack Atwater, who was a member of the Kiwanis, he said, why don't we let the Y borrow the money for the first down payment? I have never, in 37 years, I've never heard of a civic club giving the down payment to a YMCA to buy land.
So all the basketball leagues moved over here at the time. They built the soccer fields, and I participated in soccer before I could play football, and so those were played right out here on the field.
Having a pool enabled us to do a lot of things. Competitive swimming. We had some schools come in here, and I'm sure you still do. A lot of that's because of Mr. Moore, Dick Moore, who every time the architect said, the pool is going to be this big, he would say, well, let's make it 25% bigger because they're going to want to have competition here. And if the basketball court was a certain size, well, let's make it a little bigger. And because of that, we have a very nice facility.
In '95, when I came, had to work on some stuff here at this Y. We had a couple maintenance problems. To be honest, we talk about the bad as much as the good. I remember coming in here, and the basketball players, we would have buckets in the gym because the roof was leaking. And so that's why Ryan to this day can never shoot on the right side of the gym, because he's worked on the left side on it. So we borrowed from Wachovia, which was so good to us. We borrowed right at about $900,000. And Bill Hoover looked at me and went, you know what you're doing? I went, I think so, Bill. He said, all right, and he signed it because they all had to sign for it. And that really started the first thing off. We got we got the maintenance done. We had money left over. We bought some new equipment. Glenn Dawson was my fitness director at the time, and Glenn and I picked out some fitness equipment called MedX. Glenn was very big into rehab and everything, and got that and built that room back there. And then our next big thing, we got Fran and Warren Knapp. Warren just retired from Asheboro Elastics, and Fran was very involved with the Asheboro City Schools, of course. And first thing we did was come up with the needs of the YMCA. Our fitness area was too small. Our aerobic area was too small. We wanted to start getting into yoga. And the building, God bless it, the building's been here, was open in '78. but it needed a facelift. You know, we all need facelifts after 30 or 40 years, and this building needed one, the locker rooms and the hallways and everything. And the Armfield Foundation, I was able to go and make a presentation to them, and they gave us $1 million. The bad thing about it, as soon as we got the $1 million, that's when the economy went under. And that's when the banks were having problems and all that. And Armfield said, you're gonna have to spend this money by the end of the year, or we're gonna have to take it back. So we all went in a hurry mode and went out here and raised the money.
This is the most generous community you could ever imagine. So it was not a difficult campaign to move. People were willing to give, they knew the need, and after the campaign, Fran and Warren continued to be involved, and Fran took on a special committee raising called Friends of the Y, and that committee has had wonderful events. Our most recent was the Mardi Gras that was well attended in the community, raised about $65,000. All of that went to needs that were needed at that time.
And now we have the building that we have, which is 7,500, brand new fitness facilities. The whole building's been renovated, paint and new ceiling tiles and roof and everything, and has really helped this community out. Dr. Hendricks, I'll never forget this. He and I were sitting in the lobby area, and we were just talking. He was a member of the Y. And he said, Patrick, he says, he said, I would love to have racquetball courts here. And I said, Dr. Hendricks, I said, I love racquetball. I said, I love to play it. He said, why don't we work on that together? And just so happened that he had a heart attack a couple months later and passed away. And so that's when we built the 2 racquetball courts in Dr. Hendricks' name in the foundation. And could not have done it without him. And so there's been many times I've played, and I think Dr. Hendricks is looking down on us, and he's so glad to see everybody playing racquetball. And then after that, the next thing that we did was we built our steam room, sauna, whirlpool. It used to be in this small little area, and it was away from everything. I always thought it was a safety issue. And so what we did is that went to the board. Reed Pollard was a big part of this, and donated a lot down at the beach. And we were able to sell that and build the steam room, sauna, whirlpool from that money that we received from the lot. And so the steam room, sauna, whirlpool is right there at the pool area where the lifeguards and everybody can, for the safety issue.
The playground that we have outside, I would say 90% of that was built off money raised from the Sam Balsong Memorial Golf Tournament that is going on 20 plus years now. Yeah. It is held annually at Pinewood. It's in honor of Sam Balsong, who was a former board member and a lifelong member of the Y, who passed away tragically. And so as a memorial to him, they started the golf tournament, and it has raised more money than is ever expected. And the playground went from basically a hobby horse and a slide to what you have out there now. And then the funds from that tournament that is still going today still help impact kids in our community with scholarships that for memberships and programs and athletics and everything. So it's literally the gift that keeps on giving every year.
The first year we ever had was at Pinewood, and it was a night golf tournament, and it was in November.
And it was about 25 degrees.
And it was cold, and we only had like 10 or 11 teams. I'll never forget, Bill Hoover bought a Carolina umbrella for $250, and that was just Bill's generosity. He would never have bought a State or a Duke umbrella, I can tell you that. But thank God it was a Carolina umbrella. But the Balsong family, as Ryan said, has been very supportive of this YMCA.
Back when I was the sports director, back in 1996 under Patrick, midnight basketball programs kept popping up in bigger cities, Chicago, New York, and the games were played after 10 p.m. and went all the way to 2 a.m. And so the idea behind it was keep kids off the street and keep them up from causing trouble. And the program just celebrated its 25th year, and I think you had, I wouldn't even start to guess how many kids have been impacted by that program in the last 25 years. Chief Mason at the time, Gary Mason, said that they did a statistical analysis and that crimes did go down during that time, juvenile crimes. So, we like to think that the Y had a big part of that. So,
hope to be doing it for the next 25 years. It's our volunteer garden. This was an idea that Virginia Moore, who's my senior coordinator, came up to me, said that there was a couple people who were interested in starting a garden down here, and would we be willing to give out a small piece of land? And I said yes. And I said, if you don't mind, just give a little bit back to the Y, to our seniors here, or to families, and let them take them home. Nothing better than a homegrown tomato. We are donating fresh vegetables to our daily kitchen, to CUOC, to the battered shelter. It's a great group of volunteers, and we have helped this community out quite a bit through that garden. The splash pad that we started building, it's 6,000 square feet. The board, they just shook their head when I brought it to them. I said, guys, it's going to work. And when Patrick does that, I do it big. So it's a little bit bigger than most normal splash pads. Again, we borrowed the money.
When we make reference to Bill Hoover, he came home and said, "You're not going to believe it. Patrick wants to add a splash pad."
I had to show pictures and explain to a lot of them what a splash pad was. And, and that thing has become very, very successful. Our beast mode is, again, an idea from Robin Hatch and Scotty Fonville. They proved it to me, which I had to prove it to the board. And that thing has grown so much to where we're looking at expanding that. And then the one of the last things that we've done around here right now is that we built a half-mile track around our soccer fields. Could not have done that without the hospital foundation. Robin Hatch, my fitness director, wrote up a grant, asked the hospital foundation, and that thing is used constantly. Doesn't matter if it's raining, the sun's out, if it's 100 degrees or 10 degrees, they're out there walking. One time our alarm came off here at 2 a.m, came over here just to find out it was just tripped off by mistake. And there was a guy walking around the field and he had one of those miner hats on with the light. And I pulled over, I introduced myself to him, I said, "Sir," I said, "what are you doing?" He said, "I'm getting my exercise."
I think the Sportsplex is a program that the city is cooperating with the YMCA about. We're developing an area out toward the zoo that will have volleyball courts and soccer fields and everything else, and it will be walking trails and dog park. It will be a true multi-use sportsplex that will bring, I think, a great deal of economic development to the county.
In fact, as Charlie said, it's being built and we've already been rented out. I've already had 2 soccer associations call me up and said, "Let us know when you're going to open it up, and we'll guarantee you that we will have your fields full, your hotels full, and your restaurants full for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournament." Because you're talking about bringing 100 soccer teams here. You multiply that by the players, plus the parents, plus the grandparents. And what makes us special, working with the zoo, is that the zoo's going to give every player a free ticket to go to the zoo. So it's going to benefit us and the zoo at the same time. We have done quite a bit of renovations and additions at this Y. We have had up to right at about 7,000 members. We have averaged before everything with this COVID has hit, we were averaging about 20,000 people per month coming into this building. And besides the zoo, I don't think there's another place in Randolph County or the city of Asheboro that can say 20,000 people.